It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. Leaving something, whether it's a job, a home, a marriage, a business, a committee, a friend, leaving comes with an array of feelings. Excitement, kind of nervous, feeling anxiety, and filled with possibility. And as much as you know that this is the right decision, your brain wants to equate leaving with failure, especially when you're sitting in the remnants of what was. You get to decide what the truth actually is. Was this truly a failure, or did you leave because you had bigger, better things to do? Whether you're on the cusp of making a decision to leave, or you've already left something and the ground beneath you just feels a little bit shaky, this episode is going to help you reframe that guilt into your powerful next chapter so you can move on. Let me begin by saying that making a decision to leave something, that's hard shit. Okay? Like, there are certain instances where you're like, nope, deuces, it was time to go. I have no bad feelings about it. Like, I feel way better because of it. Those are fantastic. Those are moments where you're like, I knew I had to go. The emotional ties are cut. I am 10,000 times better because of it. Those are not the instances that we're talking about today, because we don't really need to process that, because those types of decisions feel light and freeing and just full of optimism. Like, you have the power back. However, I do want to say, remember that feeling. Like, remember a time when you made a decision to leave something, a job, a home, a marriage, a business, a friend circle, whatever the case was. Remember a time when you decided to leave something, and on your way out, whether that was physically or metaphorically, you were like, I am so fucking happy. I have so much time back. I have so much energy back. I feel good about myself. I feel free. I want you to remember, like, sink all the way down into that feeling, because this is really important. This same feeling is accessible to you even through the harder situations when you're choosing to leave something that doesn't feel so quick. It doesn't feel as freeing at first. In fact, the decision to leave something feels a lot heavier in the moment, especially when you're sitting in the remnants of it. When you're in the thick of this decision, whether you are leading up to making it or you've just made it and you're dealing with all the stuff that comes along with it, people's thoughts, feelings, and opinions, your own thoughts, feelings, and opinions, the new to-do list that you have in front of you, the changes that you have to make, right? Like, these decisions don't come with nothing. Okay. And it's that in conjunction with some of the things we're going to talk about today, why a lot of people just put off making these changes. They delay it. They hesitate on it. They kick it down the lane to say, okay, I'll do it another day. I'll do it another day. And meanwhile, that feeling inside of you is growing. The misery, the anxiety, the tension that you're feeling, it will continue to build. And truly, when it's time to leave something, that shit is going to get your attention. It's going to get more uncomfortable before it gets comfortable again. And this is why it's important, so important, to harness into remembering a time when you left something before and you found that sense of freedom. Because in the thick of one of these harder decisions to leave, it may not feel like freedom at first, but you're doing the work so that you can get that feeling. I've got a couple of gals right now inside the Gutsy Collective. That's my community for women where they're building up to make the bigger moves in life. It's a personal development space, right? Like, you want to do the thing, but I need to build up some confidence. I need to take some steps in a safe place. I need a place to talk about this because I don't have anybody else in my world that really truly understands this and can guide me. That's what the Gutsy Collective is all about. And there's a few gals in there right now actively going through divorce. You want to talk about leaving something and the feelings, the ripple effect that comes from this. It's huge. This is a big life decision. But I can tell you, with all of these women that are going through this right now, the feeling has been the same. They feel neglected. They've not lived up to their potential. They have felt weighed down. They're carrying all the responsibilities. They have been carrying a load for far too long. And both of them recently have made the decision to pursue divorce. This was their right next step. So they're leaving a relationship, but they're also leaving a life that they've known. They are both, the two women particularly, they're both leaving the homes that they created together. They both have children, so it's rocking in the boat, in the family dynamics. There's a lot of feelings that come along with leaving a marriage. And it's really easy to say, okay, I have failed at this. I have failed as a spouse. I have failed as a parent. I have failed as a woman. It's easy to look at this type of situation as a failure. And then I mentioned a few times, like sitting in the remnants of it. What I mean by that is one woman is literally actively going through every room in her house right now, pulling things out, sorting through stuff, cleaning things out. It's a lot of extra work. She's looking around at everything that once was and what it could have been. And she's carrying this extra load right now because she's not getting the support that she deserves, which, is kind of a reflection of why we're in this position in the first place. But deep down, behind all of this stuff and all these moving pieces and all these fresh emotions is something that's very, very powerful. And that is her truth, her inner knowing, her grounded self that knows that this was the right decision to make. She put in the time, she put in the effort, she went 80% of the way, 80% of the time, and it simply didn't work. Now, I would ask you in this moment, would you think that this woman is a failure? I'm going to guess that you're shaking your head no very vigorously right now because you're like, no, she's done all the things. She's tried. We can understand what that feels like. So if she's not a failure, then why are the decisions that you're making for yourself considered a failure? I'm not saying that you're going through divorce. I'm saying that you're probably listening to this because there's something that you're about to leave or you have recently left. And your brain is kicking in and being like, I didn't do enough. I could have been better. I should have done these things differently. When in reality, this move was likely exactly the thing that you needed to do to free yourself, to get to the next chapter of your life, to open up opportunities. And leaving can come in all different shapes and sizes. Sometimes they're small moments, like leaving a party early because you're just not feeling the vibe, or you're tired and you just simply want to go home. Or it could be the bigger milestone things, like leaving a job because it's just not where you want to be anymore. You're not being respected. You're not being heard. Your ideas are getting pushed down the line. Your pay raise got denied, whatever, right? Like leaving a job because it doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe it's leaving a home or a hometown or a place that you've spent a lot of time. Sometimes it's leaving a business. You've heard me share my story a million times at this point about closing down my agency, selling my building. Gosh, there were about 87,000 times during that process that I could have stopped and said, oh, this is a failure. I have failed this stuff. It was the exact thing that I needed to do to open up the time, the capacity, and the energy to be able to do the work that I get to do today. Sometimes it's leaving something that you've previously committed to. Like there's a woman inside of Auraline, and one of the things that we've been working on is just like regaining where her time and her energy is being spent. She's been part of a committee for quite some time that she's just never really felt like she belonged. And this was not her doubting herself. This was a case of mean girls pushing her out to the side. So after we started working together and she really started to claim her own voice, speaking up, saying what she needed to say, proposing the ideas that she had been sitting on, when she started pushing back against things that were just not quite right and, questioning things that why are we doing it this way one way and this way another way? Guess what? Mean girls don't like when you speak up. But because she is really harnessed in who she is, owning her voice, using her ideas for good because she's brilliant, she was able to see that, hey, I'm just not welcome here. These are not my people. And I'm no longer willing to give my ideas to somebody that wants to shit on them. Instead, I'm going to put the time, the money, and the energy that I spend on this place back into my business. That's what's most electric to her. That's where her next chapter of life is waiting to be built. But when she's constantly going to this place where she's getting her mental ass kicked all the time and going home and questioning herself, guess what? She doesn't have the energy to put into her business because she's doubting herself. Or I should say she was doubting herself, because she has put in her notification. I think at time of recording, she's got like 60 days left to serve in her position. And her business is already starting to build. She feels free. She feels excited again. And the business is benefiting from it, because all of that energy spent elsewhere is now being spent where it needed to be. For a moment, she thought, is this a failure? Did I leave them hanging? Did I mess something up? Should I have done something differently? And through a session and a half or so, she was like, no, screw this. These are not my people. This is not where I best fit. And I'm ready to reclaim that for myself. So yes, there was a moment of feeling like a failure, but the reframe here is, I get my time and energy back. I get to use my ideas for my business. I get to spend time with people that amplify me, not put me down. That's the power move. That's the reframe. It's not that she failed. She just left because she had bigger, better things to do. There's a few kind of common things that I hear that tend to drive that feeling of failure. You might have your own version of this, but these are the ones that I hear most often. It's things like, 1, I could have done more. I should have done more. Maybe I should have tried more. Maybe I should have said things differently. Maybe I should have, went a little bit further. Maybe I should have pushed myself a little bit further. It's this guilt around, I could have and should have done more. Knowing you and knowing the women that I work with, you did 10,000 times more than the average human would do. And is it true that we could do more? Sure. But would that have actually changed the fundamental reason of why you're left? Probably not. So what I want you to start doing, and I'm going to give you a few more here, but what I want you to start doing is notice the feeling that's driving the narrative that you are a failure, or this is a failed moment. Notice the statement or the sentence or the feeling or the emotion that keeps throwing logs on this fire, because what we got to do is stop throwing the fucking logs. Beating yourself up, sitting in shame, feeling guilty about all this stuff is not going to help you move forward. It's not going to make this situation better. It's most certainly not going to help your productivity. And I want you to remember that you are leaving for a reason. You also don't need to carry the weight of the lack of others. Holy shit, let me say that again. You do not need to carry the weight of the lack of others. Jesus, I literally just had to stop recording so I could write that down. You're going to see that shit on a social media post. You can guarantee that. You can't change how other people showed up or didn't. You can't change how much work they put in or didn't. And whatever feeling that they're carrying about what they did or did not do, not your responsibility. You are your responsibility. So what if we caught that moment of, I could have done more, I should have done more, and we reframed it instead? I did what I could with the information that I had as the version of me that I was. This might be one of those mantras you want to write down and put on a sticky on your mirror. So I'm going to read this again. I did what I could with the information that I had as the version of me that I was. You're not the same person as you were. You have grown. You have evolved. You've changed. You've sunk deeper down into your morals and your values and what you want and what you don't want and what you tolerate and where you still hesitate. You did what you could, and it is now finished. Period. We can't go back. So why are we continuing to go back to think that we could go back? You might not believe yourself at first, but the more you catch these moments, these sayings, these feelings, and reframe them, you start to show your mind and your body that there's an alternative. That I don't have to stay in this feeling. I'm allowed to move forward. And each day I'm going to have a little bit more progress. I'm going to feel a little bit more free. I'm going to feel like, you know what? Things are happening. I feel good about this. Opportunities are going to start to show up. And they are. Another one that shows up a lot is how this decision affects other people. One of the gals in Aura Line recently left her corporate position for a different one. This job was sucking the soul out of her ass. She was burnout to the max. She was unhappy. She was dreading going to work every day. But you know what? She's also a really incredible human. And she was really terrified around, if I leave, how is this going to affect my coworkers? Is this putting more work on them? Are they going to understand the processes? Will they be okay? Are they going to replace me right away? Like, how are things going to happen? And through the work that we did together, we got her to the point where she's like, I can't control that. But what I can control is how burnt out I am, how I decide to use my voice to ask for something different, how I believe in my ability to change, to do something new, to free my energy again, to feel that spark back in the work that I actually really love. I've just not been in the right space. She had to let go of the idea that she had to be in control even when she was gone. So if you're feeling like, how does this affect other people? The reframe here is, people are resourceful. They're gonna be okay. You can set them up for success. You can put things in place to help them along their way. You can give them some breadcrumbs to say, okay, here's the thing. Here, I'm going to send you off. But beyond that, let them be resourceful. Let them find their own ground. You're leaving for a reason. And leaving means getting your hands out of the pot where you used to have to control everything. The third one that I hear a lot is starting over. Starting over in some capacity, whether that's starting over in a completely new position, starting over in business, starting over in love, just starting over. I'm not new to things, but now all of a sudden I'm new to this and it feels yucky. I don't want to be a beginner again. I don't want to have to start all over. And so a lot of times you avoid the starting over by staying in the thing that you don't want anymore. Well, friend, being an expert at misery is not exactly a gold fucking star. Starting over is uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. I recently did that. I was a little butthurt for a while when I realized that, hey, starting over in business means literally starting over in business. A whole new set of everything. Systems, processes, refining tools, messaging, how I'm showing up, graphics, website, you name it, everything was fucking new. And that place of newness feels incredibly vulnerable. It's very raw, very green, almost like this feeling of exposure. Like I can remember feeling like everybody in the world knew that I was starting over in business. Guess what? Nobody fucking cared. But I cared. Therefore, I made it feel like everybody cared, which meant that I made this whole situation way harder and probably took way longer than it really needed to. So what if we reframe this fear around starting over, this feeling of failure around starting over as, I have a brand new beginning with a ton of knowledge and experience this time. I have a brand new beginning. It's like a blank slate. You get a brand new canvas. You've just pulled the plastic off. You can still smell the shit that they put on the wood. You've got a fresh batch of paint and brand new paintbrushes. You get to create. But this time, you're not a brand new artist. I'm using a metaphor. Stick with me. You're not a brand new artist. You have years, if not decades of experience, of knowledge, of know-how. You're not starting from zero. You're actually already 10 miles ahead of where you were the first time around. And you're a more developed person. Like you're more clear about who you are and what you actually want and what your values are and what you truly crave and deserve in this world. You get to build from that. Holy shitballs. I can tell you from literally just being on the other side of this, that this goes way faster than the first time. As long as you stay in alignment with yourself, as long as you keep showing up and making gutsy moves, the things just move faster. It gets to be more enjoyable. You're building things your own way this time. This is one of the great things about leaving something and moving on, is that this time you are equipped with so much information, so much self-worth, that the tolerance for anything less than, gone. You're at a phase in your life now where you get to build this your way. How fucking exciting is that? So does starting over suck? Sure. But do you get to call the shots this time? Absolutely. Get wildly protective about yourself, your time, your energy. Build this next chapter and take it as slow as it needs to go. Build it your way through the lens of, what do I actually want? What makes me feel good? What feels expansive? What makes me feel fucking alive again? I promise you, if you make decisions and make moves through that lens, friend, you better be DMing me and telling me when things are like rocking your world in the best of ways, okay? The last one that I hear more often than not is, what are other people going to think? There's a woman in Oraline right now who was in an industry in a very specific role. She was in marketing, and she left the industry because there was some stuff that happened in her previous business. And she thought, you know what? I'm just going to leave that entirely. Meanwhile, she's shifting away from marketing. She's stepping into facilitator, into workshop host, into speaker. And through connecting some dots and pulling things together, she realized like, hey, I want to guide and teach and speak to that industry that I have 20 plus years of experience in. She was invited back to a conference through that same group of people. Okay. And she had so much fear around, what are people going to think? Are they going to understand the shift that I made? Are some old stories and old questions going to pop up about what happened in the past? What are they going to think about what I'm doing now? Are they going to take me seriously? And for a moment, there was some hesitation around, do I even go? But she leaned in. She's like, if I'm going to do it, now's the time. This is the perfect opportunity. And wouldn't you know, she went to this event. Guess what? Nobody gave a shit about the past. Nobody brought it up. She reconnected with people that she loved working with in the past. She met up with a woman that she did business with previously and reached back out after the event and has booked her first fully paid speaking gig. Let me tell you, this is the result of making a gutsy move. Okay. Leaning into that discomfort, kicking away what was perceived as failure from the past, letting go of what other people may or may not say or think or feel, and taking full charge of who she is, the space that she's in now, and how she helps these people. A lot of times we're way more worried about what other people are going to think about what we're going to do than we're worried about how we are going to feel if we just actually did it. And so the reframe with this is, people are going to say and think what they want to anyway. It might as well be about me doing the thing that I want to do. I mean, if we lived our lives by what other people are going to say or think about us, you will stay in this spot, in this feeling, in this stuckness, in whatever it is that you've experienced forever. You would never live up to your potential. You would never try anything new. You would be a hermit. You would never meet any new friends. You'd never try any new food. Literally life would just stop. That's not who you are. And I know it's scary to put yourself out there. I know it's scary to, people have thoughts. And especially if you put shit on the internet, my God, it's the Wild West out there. But if people are knocking your shit, if they're saying bad things about you, if they're giving you nasty comments, friend, they are miserable people. Why are we allowing miserable people to choose what you're going to do and what you're not going to do? They don't have to understand. They don't need to know the details. And guess what? They don't also know the entire story. But what you know is what makes you happy, what feels expansive, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel like possibility is returning. I feel lighter. I feel free. Every one of these stories that I've told you today, these women feel free. And even the ones that are still in the thick of the change, every one of them said that once they decided and took that first action, they felt the weight of the world drop off of their shoulders. So you tell me, is leaving something or someone truly a failure? Or do all of these women, including you, simply have bigger, better things to do? Listen, I would love to brag about you and your story and your change and the thing that you talked about and felt like you wanted to do for so long, and then you actually did it, and then your life changed in so many incredible ways because of it. I would love to brag on that story. The women that enter into my world, whether that's through the Gutsy Collective or through Oraline the Mastermind, leave having done the thing that they wanted to do. And so whether you've kind of been on the fence or you're like, you know what, it's time, I got to do it. I just need someone to help me figure out what's next. Where do I focus? I need somewhere to bounce some ideas around. Let's chat. Book a clarity session. That's a free 30-minute session between you and I. I'll put the link in the show notes below. And together we'll figure out what your right next move is. You can also send me a DM on whatever social platform you fancy. I am at that LauraAura across the board. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.